Hi, welcome back. All right, well, as you can see, I had a little bit of a failure. So I thought it'd be a good opportunity to share what I have learned on the stabilizer and the sway control. I'm really pleased with the stabilizer. I ended up playing with the links a little bit. I had originally set this up with 6 links. Oh, hi, buddy. This is the new addition to the family. This is Marty. We got him a few months ago. It's just a pup. Oh man, what a great dog. Anyway, back to the video. The stabilizer bars turned out wonderful. Just leveled everything out perfectly without putting a whole lot of stress. The wind stabilizer ended up working out fantastic as well. It's just a matter of getting the feel of where it needs to be when it comes to the tightness. I went by the instructions, and this is preset from the factory to where all you have to do is just snug it down. And then you turn this a little bit more, a little bit less, depending on the conditions that you're getting into. Now the wind conditions, the day I left the house, we were heading down to Phoenix. Marty, no. Okay, we'll try that again and see if he'll stay quiet. The wind conditions, when I left Salt Lake City for Phoenix, we were in the 5, 10, maybe 15 mile per hour gusts. So I had this set, what I felt like was, according to the manufacturer's specs, it was fantastic. It kept the truck stable. We had a tailwind a lot of the way. We had some side winds. You go by a semi, I feel a little bit of sway, but it would just straighten us right out. So no issues. I got into Phoenix. I loosened it up because I was feeling it, a little bit of stress, and it makes a little popping noise as it groans and moans. When I was leaving Phoenix, we were looking at some pretty heavy winds. So I was figuring side winds, 20 to 30 mile an hour winds. So when I stopped to get gas, I tightened it down just a hair. Only about a quarter of a turn. When I left the gas station, the steering wheel was acting funny. It was pulling to the side a little bit. It wasn't tracking straight. I should have clued in then that pulling was the fact that the brake was bound up just enough that the truck and the trailer were tracking funny. So my thought was, no big deal. I changed lanes, and when I changed lanes, I heard a little bit of a pop and it released. Well, that was an indication that I should have stopped and released some of that pressure, because it was great all the way to Lake Havasu. It was probably 500-600 miles. And every time I stopped to get gas, I had to get gas twice on the way to Lake Havasu. I checked everything. Everything was great. When I got to Lake Havasu, I thought I probably should release some of the tension because we were getting into a lot of turns in the downtown. There was a lot of traffic. Now I know better. I should have released the pressure so that when I'm doing a lot of sudden turns, pretty sharp turns, this finally popped. So what happened was it pulled these 2 bolts out and it bound up and it popped this off. Well, luckily it was hitched on. It didn't fall off completely and I didn't lose it. But the bend in this, I'll show you a close-up. It failed at this top bolt first. Well, if you go back and you see my other video, I drilled this first hole to the specs that the manufacturer told me to drill it to, and it felt a little loose. I tightened it down, and I was afraid to really torque it down because I was worried I was going to strip it. This one, I went with a smaller drill bit, and I forced it to thread itself, and that was perfect. These the same. This top one failed first, and then the bottom one failed. had I have not tightened it up really tight, it probably would have held. Now on the back side, I don't know if you can see there are cracks around here where this is welded on. You can see a bit of a crack right here. So this was starting to get fatigued with all the extra pressure from the tension on that brake system. Luckily, these are 10-15 bucks, cheap fix, but now these are stripped out. So I can go with an oversized tapped bolt, or I can drill all the way through this and bolt and put a nut on the back side. After I've been doing a lot of research, this is a common problem, and it's guys doing exactly what I did. Tighten it down just a little bit tighter for a high wind, and then they end up pulling out these two bolts. So these are tapped okay, I hope. If I just take these two out, drill these all the way through, and then I will put a locking nut on the back side of the frame, and hopefully I won't have this issue ever again. And then I will show you how to adjust this part based off of the manufacturer's specs, and then hopefully I can educate you a little bit more on how far to twist this and what to watch for. Those aren't very tight. I'm very disappointed in the way these locking bolts go in. I feel like these four are still holding really well. They've got a good thread. It hasn't ovaled out or mushroomed out or tried to pull out from the frame. These two are definitely stripped. So I have to go with the larger size or bolt all the way through on these two. But I'm comfortable putting these back in. Due to COVID, I took the easy way out and ordered this on Amazon. It's like a nice piece compared to the one that came from the manufacturer. See the crack in the weld. This new piece actually has thicker metal. The new one is a Husky. So what I'm going to do is use bolts. The frame is 2 inches, so I think these are about 3 inch, and then I'll use a nylon lock nut on the back side. And I forgot to bring some big washers, but I want to use a thick, large washer. So I'll get this all worked up today, get this all drilled, and then I'll have to come back and put a heavy washer on that. Safety. Make sure there's nothing on the back side, nothing on the inside. I'm going to abuse my tools again. perfect fit. I thought I was going to have to drill it out. I found a problem. This kind of screws things up too. The space is bigger. That means I have to drill these holes out bigger. Slot these holes or drill all the way through my frame because it's off by about 1/8 of an inch. So if I drill a new hole 1/8 of an inch over, these aren't going to grab. I'm going to have to take this back to the shop and I'll oval these holes out on this plate to match this one so that I can go back into that same hole. I don't want to drill more holes in my frame. I do want to tighten these up and make sure they've got a good height. Yeah, those two are good. These two I'll slot out. These two I'll bolt all the way through. I'll get me some larger washers. And this is good. When it pulled out, it bound up and ovaled out this hole. So I need to bend this back. Looks like it's just a matter of tapping that over with a hammer. So back to adjusting. A lot of people say leave this where the manufacturer had it set and turn it with 2 fingers that feels about right. The manufacturer says to adjust it so that you bottom this out, where it bottoms this plate against that nut. So if I take it to that point, that's bottoming out. I had tightened this to bottom out when I drove from Phoenix. I tightened this 1/4 when it broke, and now I have backed it off 1/2. I should be good. So this is the one you're going to want to tighten less and more, and you want to just tighten this one up. That's the way it's designed. The manufacturer has it designed that way. Tighten this till it bottoms out. Adjust it with this one. That's tight. That's backed off 1/2. You need to go a little bit more. So now you drive it. If you feel like it's going like this down the road, then it's not releasing, then you'll want to loosen this up a little bit. All right, well, I'm feeling like I have this where I want it to be, other than I need to put some washers on the back side of these. I need to take this bracket off and drill it to that spacing right there, or I should say oval it out to that spacing. Reinstall it, and then I've got a camping trip coming up. We're driving not very far. We're only driving maybe 100 miles, 200 miles round trip, but it's mostly around town. Half the miles are in town, so this will be a good test for it. I don't like to have it this tight around town, so that's where this is nice. Loosen it up a half a turn when you're in town, tighten it back up when you're on the freeway in high wind. So if I have any issues, I'll give you an update. Leave me a comment. I love hearing from you. If you like what I'm doing, give me a like. Subscribe if you haven't. Subscriptions really help me build my channel. Marty says, thanks for watching.